1. Take an appropriate amount of light yellowish brown wool and curl it, felting it tightly with a needle, 38 gauge, to make an oval as shown above for the puppy pot. 2. Deeply felting the top center of the puppy pot with a needle, 40 gauge, to create an oval depression. 3. Take an appropriate amount of rufous wool and lightly felting it with a needle, 40 gauge, to make the soil. 4. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and curl it, felting it with a needle, 40 gauge, into long strips. 5. Use scissors, own, cut from the middle, used to make the feet of the puppy pot. 6. Connect the feet and puppy pot by deeply felting them together with a needle 40 gauge. 7. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and tear it up. Lay it over the joints and lightly felting it with a needle 40 gauge to make a natural transition. 8. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and curl it, felting with a needle 38 gauge to create a round ball. 9. Connect the ball and the puppy pot by deeply felting with a needle 40 gauge to make the head. 10. Felting deeply several times in the upper center of the head to felting to make the hollow of the eye. 11. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and tear it up. Lay it on the joint between the head and the puppy pot and lightly felting it with a needle 40 gauge to make a natural transition. 12. Take a small amount of rufous wool and roll it into a small ball, and felting it with a needle 40 gauge to make eyes. 13. 13. Take a small amount of rufous and light yellowish brown wool and mix it together to make a puppy's nose. 14. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and curl it, felting it with a needle, 40 gauge, to create a puppy's tail. 15. Connect the tail to the pot by deeply felting with a needle, 40 gauge. 16. Take a small amount of light yellowish brown wool and curl it, felting the puppy's ears with a needle, 40 gauge. 17. Take a small amount of tan wool and lay it around the edge of the ear, lightly felting the edge of the ear with a needle, 40 gauge. 18. Connect the ears and head by deeply felting them with a needle, 40 gauge. 19. Take a small amount of emerald green and dark green wool and mix and set aside. 20. Take the green mixed wool and curl it into a ball, felting it with a needle, 38 gauge, to create the shape of a cactus pole. 21. 21. Take a small amount of bleach white wool and lay it on the surface of the cactus pole, lightly felting it firmly with a needle 40 gauge. Take a small amount of bleach white wool and roll it into strips and felting with a needle 40 gauge to make thorns for the cactus pole. Take a small amount of peach pink wool and felting it with a needle 40 gauge into the shape of a petal. 24. Place the petals on top of the cactus column and connect them together by deeply felting with a needle 40 gauge. Connect the cactus pole and puppy pot together with a deep felting with a needle 40 gauge. Your felt wool puppy potted plant is now complete.